Well, yesterday, President Trump finally released what everyone has been asking him to release.
Nice.
George Santos, the former Republican congressman who had pled guilty to fraud and something called aggravated identity theft, which I think is when you push someone into a closet and switch clothes with them.
Donald Trump said that at the debates, he wants both of them to stand instead of sit. So that's the status of our presidency. Standing is a feat of strength. I think we can learn a lot more watching them both try to get out of a beanbag chair.
It's political chaos masquerading as a campaign rally, with Colin Jost and Michael Che perched on the sidelines, popcorn in hand and timing razor together. They turn the White House circus into a late-night demolition derby. JD Vance as the overreacher sidekick, Trump as the self-anointed emperor, both spinning in a comedy blender set to disaster. Every speech, every slogan, every strained attempt to look presidential.
Well, America elected Donald Trump to run the country like a business, but it turns out he's running it like one of his businesses. I love that you can intentionally ruin the economy and still get to stay president. It's like if you drunk drove your car through the window of the DMV and they were like, license.
Presidential becomes fresh material for America's longest-running reality show. And the punchline. The show never ends only. The dignity does. Colin kicks things off by treating JD Vance like the most bewildered man in politics.
The White House also announced that Vice President JD Vance will travel to the Vatican for Pope Leo's inaugural Mass. And I'm not a huge fan of his outfit.
President Trump, while on his trip, said that Iran has sort of agreed to terms for a nuclear deal in the same way Trump has sort of agreed to uphold the Constitution. Many people in Saudi Arabia were very happy with President Trump's visit to the country because rich Saudis love to fly out thick blondes.
Someone who wandered into the circus thinking it was a book club. He went from chronicling the struggles of his hometown to becoming the mascot for a billionaire president who couldn't spell Appalachia even if you handed him cue cards. If you're enjoying this video, hit subscribe and tap the bell, because this is less a motivational speech and more a motivational warning in progress. Michael Che steps in.
Zelensky has said that if President Trump provides Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles, he will nominate Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. You know, the prize they give you for selling missiles. There was outrage this week over a leaked group chat between Republican leaders which praised Hitler and referred to black Americans as
in with his signature smirk, like he saw this train wreck coming miles away. He dubs it the political buddy comedy nobody ordered. One man pretending to be tough, the other pretending to be loyal. JD's devotion to Trump is so exaggerated, it practically deserves its own loyalty oath. And just when you think the orbit couldn't get any tighter.
Insane. This was the worst week for the stock market since the summer of 2020. But you have to remember, back then, the president was also Trump. Just in the past 2 days, investors have lost over $6 trillion. Money is leaving the stock market faster than Morgan. I don't know, I just feel like as a Catholic, Trump's photo just feels slightly disrespectful. Also, if Trump really wants to be Pope, he should probably stay away from JD.
JD's loyalty somehow levels up again, part performance, part prophecy, all politics. Colin jumps back in, noting how Trump treats every political event like a reboot of his old TV show. The difference. Back then, people were paid to act impressed. Now it's just JD nodding.
Trump has signed an executive order giving refugee status to white people from South Africa. You know, I could have sworn that white people had it good in South Africa. Must be the Mandela effect. The Trump administration announced that after face-to-face talks with China, it is lowering tariffs from 145% to 30%, which is a little like OJ bragging about taking the knife out.
Like he's terrified to miss his cue. Now JD is nodding so aggressively, it's like he's competing in an invisible bobblehead contest. Colin cracks that JD's career arc feels like a boomerang, launched by principles. caught by politics, and forever trapped in Trump's orbit. Che adds that Trump rally conspiracy theories, the only places where facts walk in just to get booed. And when the script never changes, why bother rehearsing? Just reheat last season's drama and package it as breaking news. Trump strides in like a man auditioning for a role he already lost, delivering the same lines with the confidence of someone who's never checked a single review. Che calls it performance art for people allergic to accountability. Colin says Trump holds rallies like sequels, same plot, same slogans.
Vice President JD Vance seen here watching the plane leave Greenland without him. Continued his sad reboot of Veep this week by visiting our military base there and delivering the administration's clearest threat so far. Either Greenland joins the U.S. or the U.S. will keep sending them JD Vance.
Just more side characters pretending it's new JD. Meanwhile, becomes the political version of the guy holding a flashlight for someone who lost their keys. Colin jokes that JD went from hillbilly elegy to presidential apology, twisting his life story to match a script he didn't write, but desperately memorized. Che adds that every Trump speech starts bold and ends bewildered, like watching a GPS reroute itself mid-sentence. At this point, the teleprompter probably has a built-in sigh button, and through it all, JD claps on cue like a malfunctioning studio audience.
President Trump responded to a report showing the U.S. economy was declining by posting, "Be patient, and if his brain gets any worse, he's gonna be patient." Attorney General Pam Bondi claimed that if not for Donald Trump seizing fentanyl at the border, 75% of all Americans could be dead. But hey, don't threaten us with it.
JD could have bought a conscience by now, and honestly, he's not wrong, because watching Trump and JD together feels less like politics and more like a rerun nobody ever asked to see again. Che goes full roast mode, dubbing their partnership The Apprentice, Regret Edition. A show where every episode ends with someone pretending they meant to be there. He calls JD America's most ambitious background character. A man so eager to agree he probably practices nodding in front of mirrors. Trump treats loyalty like currency, burning through it faster than campaign donations vanish into legal fees.
While traveling on Air Force One to the Middle East to celebrate the ceasefire, President Trump told reporters, "I don't think there's anything that's going to get me into heaven." Then he paused for 10 full minutes, waiting for someone to say, "That's not true." Because Trump can't go to heaven. He's far too busy.
Colin jokes that Trump doesn't lead. He narrates his own myth in real time. And JD, the malfunctioning parrot, repeats every word, hoping blind obedience might earn him a promotion. And that's not just Ironit's branding. Only Trump could turn political decay into prime waterfront property. Colin notes that Trump talks about draining the swamp while simultaneously building luxury condos in it. JD, of course, plays the overexcited realtor, insisting the water's perfectly safe. Che adds that Trump's campaign stops feel like motivational seminars for people who forgot what they were supposed to be motivated about. Meanwhile,
Trump impersonated a transgender weightlifter in a speech to graduates at the University of Alabama, which is a sentence so stupid it couldn't even get into the University of Alabama. There is speculation that the next pope could come from Africa, which would mean he'd have to travel over Colin's dead body.
JD stands there like an extra in a superhero movie who hasn't realized the script is actually a comedy. Colin dives into Trump's social media, calling it the most consistent performance art on the planet. And JD defends every post like a hyper-loyal intern, practically auto-replying, "Great point, sir." At this rate, his phone probably has a built-in preset. Absolutely. Mr. President, at this point, Trump isn't just bending the truth. He's folding it into origami and selling it as modern art.
This week, President Trump met with Kid Rock for what appears to be Drag Queen Story Hour. Kid Rock watched Trump sign an executive order on concert ticket fees and then returned to his regular job as a 4th of July lawn skeleton.